Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget-friendly, and delicious. So if you'd like to get some weeknight meal ideas for your family, then just keep watching. For dinner this first night, I'm making my mom's paprika chicken. She used to make this for us when we were growing up, and I haven't had it, since I was a teenager, but it's just been sounding good and I've been wanting it, so I decided to make it this night. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. In this small dish, I'm going to add in the flour, and then I'm going to add in some salt, pepper, and then paprika. And I am adding quite a bit of paprika. This is, of course, called paprika chicken. I added probably about 2 tablespoons or a tablespoon and a half. I'm going to mix that up really well. And then in this glass baking dish over here, I have some butter. I placed the butter into the baking dish and popped that into the oven as it was heating up, and I just pulled it out as soon as the butter was melted. I'm going to take my chicken breasts and dip them both sides into the flour mixture. Then I'm going to add them to the glass baking dish, and my mom said that she would add the chicken and then flip it over so that the butter gets on both sides. And then I'm just going to pop this into the oven and cook it. It really depends on how big your chicken breasts are. I think I cooked mine for about 20 to 25 minutes. You just want to make sure that it's cooked until it's 165 degrees internal temperature. To go along with the chicken, I am making succotash. I loosely follow Nancy Fuller's recipe. I'll link that in the description box below. In this skillet over medium heat, I've got some chopped up bacon that I've cooked to a crisp. I'm going to add in some finely diced onions and cook that until the onions are translucent. Next, I'm going to add in my corn. You can use frozen corn, and I've done that in the past. It turns out well. Today, I'm using fresh corn that I cut off the cob. Next, I'm going to add in the beans. The recipe calls for lima beans. That's what I normally use, but I didn't have any on hand today, so I'm just using some frozen butter beans. Then I'm going to add in my cherry tomatoes that I've cut in half, as well as some fresh garlic. I'm going to stir that in, season it with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then allow that to cook for about 10 minutes or just until the vegetables are nice and tender. Once that's done, I'm going to turn off the heat and then add my last 2 ingredients, which are basil. The recipe calls for fresh, and that's what I normally use and prefer, but I didn't have any this day, so I just added some dried basil and then red wine vinegar, and then that's it. The succotash is done. Here's the finished succotash, and then we have the paprika chicken, and to go along with that, I had some sliced watermelon that I needed to use up, so that's what we had for dinner this night, and now I'll show you our plates. And here are the finished plates. So we've got the chicken, the succotash, and the watermelon with some salt on it. This was such a good summery dinner. It wasn't super fancy or complicated. The chicken especially is just really simple, but it's just down home, simple cooking, and it just reminds me of being a kid. So that was our dinner this night. The next day was the 4th of July. My dad's birthday is actually the 4th of July, and my little sister's birthday is the 3rd of July, so we always celebrate their birthdays as well as Independence Day. They all came over, and let me show you what we had. My dad brought some crab claws, and I made some homemade cocktail sauce. They brought some corn chips and then made some coleslaw. This was delicious. My mom and dad, they make their coleslaw. They use coleslaw mix that you just buy in the bag. And then for the dressing, they use poppy seed dressing. And I think she said they got it at Aldi, and it was delicious. Then I tried a new recipe for a $1 million dip. I'll include the recipe I used in the description box below. Next, I made my potato salad. I've shared how I make this before on my channel. I'll include a link to that video in the description box below. Next, I tried a new recipe for a deviled egg pasta salad. This came from Sarah over at Sarah's Realm. I'll link her video in the description box below. My sister brought some cornbread muffins, which were delicious. I just made some boxed shells and cheese, some doctored up baked beans, which I shared recently. I'll include that in the description box below as well. And then my dad made some of his pulled pork. And then, of course, we have our buns and barbecue sauce. Now, I forgot to take a picture of my plate this day, but we had leftovers for lunch the next day. So here's a picture of my plate. I just had some of the barbecue on a bun, some baked beans, and leftover coleslaw. And then for the 4th of July, to go along with everything, I just made some of the funfetti cupcakes and a little cake. It's the Independence version, so it just has like blue and red sprinkles. And that was our dinner this night. It was so good. It was so nice spending time with our family, especially on their birthdays. And if you're in the United States, I hope that you and your family had a really wonderful 4th of July. For dinner the next night, we had pulled pork nachos. I've mentioned before on my channel how much we love Famous Dave's, and their nachos are amazing. So that's what we were trying to recreate this night. To do that, I just laid some tortilla chips down on our plate. I added some leftover warmed up baked beans and pulled pork. Then I added some warmed up cheese sauce. You can use your favorite cheese sauce. I really like the Fritos cheddar cheese dip. Then I added some lettuce, diced up tomatoes, diced up green onions. I also added some sour cream that I drizzled over, as well as some barbecue sauce. And then on my husband's plate, he also has some sliced black olives and pickled jalapeno peppers. And that was our dinner this night. This was so, so good. For dinner the next night, I wanted something really quick and easy, so I decided to make some Copycat McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. Here's how I made it. I took some of these beer-battered fish fillets. I just got these at Aldi. I cooked these in my air fryer. I think I cooked it at 400 degrees for about 7 or 8 minutes on one side, flipped it over, and cooked it another 7 or 8 minutes, or until it was nice and golden brown and crispy. While the fish was cooking, I whipped up a quick tartar sauce. I just do mayonnaise, relish, some lemon juice, salt and pepper, and that's it. You can also add some dill or whatever you'd like. I placed some of the tartar sauce and the fish on buns, and then for my husband's, I added a slice of cheese. And then to go along with our sandwiches, we just made some side salads. For dinner this next night, I decided to do some Copycat Greek takeout. Now, I'm not claiming that this is authentic Greek food, but this is very similar to what we get around here, and I live in the Nashville, Tennessee area at Greek restaurants or Euro restaurants. I'm going to start out by making a tzatziki sauce. I have a cucumber that I have peeled and seeded. I've cut it up into small chunks. You can also shred it if you'd like. I'm going to add in my Greek yogurt, fresh lemon juice, minced garlic, salt and pepper, and dried dill. And then I'm going to go off the recipe a little bit. I don't know about where you all go, but at the Greek restaurants or Euro restaurants around here anyway, they have tzatziki sauce, but they also have a yogurt ranch dressing. And I don't know what they put in that ranch dressing, but it is delicious. It's so good. It's the best ranch I've ever had. So I decided to kind of try and recreate that a little bit tonight. So I added some dry ranch dressing, some dry ranch seasoning mix rather, as well as a little bit of milk. Now I did add a little too much milk. And when I pulled this out to serve it, it was a little thin for my liking, so I just added maybe about 1/4 cup of mayonnaise to thicken it up. But that's it. I'm going to stir that together, pop a lid on it, and place it into the refrigerator until we're ready for dinner. I decided to make some turmeric rice because, again, that's what our local Greek restaurants have. I actually combined 2 different recipes. I'll put them in the description box below. In this pot, I've added some olive oil. I've got this over about medium heat. I'm going to add the oil, allow it to come up to temperature, and then add in some finely diced onions. I sauteed that for a few moments until the onions turned translucent. Next, I'm going to add in the rice. This is basmati rice. I rinsed it really well in this strainer until the rice and the water ran clear, rather. I'm going to add that rice and stir it and then cook that for just a couple minutes until the rice starts to brown. Then I added garlic powder, turmeric, salt, and some water and chicken bouillon, or you can use broth. I stirred that in, brought this up to a boil. Once it was at a boil, I covered it with a lid, turned it down as low as it would go, and cooked it for 18 minutes. After 18 minutes, I turned the heat off, set it aside for 10 minutes, and then fluffed it with a fork. Usually when I make Greek style food, I marinate my chicken, but I forgot to do it tonight. So all I did was take some chicken breasts. I sprinkled some Cavender's, garlic powder, just a little bit of salt, some pepper, and then some smoked paprika. I seasoned both sides of the chicken, and then that's it. And this chicken turned out really, really flavorful and delicious. You could saute this. You could cook it in the oven. I cook mine in the air fryer. To serve everything up, I'm going to lay down a bed of rice in these bowls. Then I sliced up the chicken and added some of the chicken. I added some crumbled feta cheese, and then on my husband's, I added some sliced black olives. I skipped that. I do not prefer black olives. Next, I added some diced up tomatoes, diced cucumber, and then on mine, I added some very thinly sliced red onions. I'm really funny about raw onions. I really don't prefer raw onions in many things, but I like it in Greek food like this or in gyros or on pinto beans. I'm really weird. But anyway, other than that, I'm going to add some of that tzatziki ranch sauce. And then on the side, I have some zucchini. I just cut this into strips, season it with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, cook that in the air fryer. And then I took some pita bread, warmed it up, cut it into triangles, and then that's it. And here are the finished plates. You guys, this was delicious. This was so, so good. That rice was amazing. The chicken was so flavorful. We loved the sauce. Everything about this was good. I highly recommend you give this a try. For dinner the next night, I had some chicken breast that I needed to use up. I was going to make a different recipe, but realized I was out of a very key ingredient and didn't want to run to the store just for that. So I threw this together. First up, I made some instant mashed potatoes. Then I made green beans. This is Mandy in the Makings recipe. I've said before on my channel, my husband and I do not prefer green beans normally, but ever since we tried her recipe a few months ago, we are hooked and we love them. Then I have some potato rolls. These are homemade. I just made some several months ago. I had these in the freezer. I just pulled them out and thawed it. Here I have a chicken and stuffing bake. I've shared this before on my channel. I'll link that video in the description box below. And then I have some sliced cranberry sauce. And here are the finished plates. This was so good. It was like Thanksgiving in July. This was delicious. Such a good, comforting meal. I really recommend you give these recipes a try. For the last dinner in this week's video, we just decided to order pizza. My allergies were bothering me up a storm this day, and I did not feel like cooking. We found a special on Papa John's. You got like 2-3 medium topping pizzas for $13 or something like that. So for my husband's, he ordered pepperoni, mushrooms, and black olives. And then on the second pizza, we did half pepperoni and pineapple, and that was our dinner this night. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.